Good morning, afternoon, and evening from wherever you're watching from. Welcome to Belinda's Country Living. Today is Sunday. Just come from church, and I am going to put on a roast. And I'm going to show you how I do this. Nothing fancy, no lots of spices or anything of the liking. It's just salt, pepper, and I'm going to sear the steak. Now what I have is 2 pieces of chuck roast. And now I've cleaned run them under water, and I don't know, a lot of people don't do that, but I don't know, there's just something about I have to rinse all of my meat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to salt and pepper both sides of this chuck roast. I'm going to pepper. Guess I need to get me some new salt and pepper shakers, because I have run toothpicks in them, or make the hose a little bit bigger. I don't know, because it just doesn't come out very fast. Now I used, I did put some vegetable oil in my pressure cooker. Now this is a old-timey pressure cooker. I've had this probably 30 years. It is, I love it, the economy cooker. It's even got USA patent number and everything. And I'll tell you what, I love that thing. Don't have to worry about your pressure gauge. Now I've got a little bit of flour here, and I'm just going to flour both sides. Don't take a lot, because what we're going to do is we're going to sear this chuck roast. Just like this. I got you over here at the stove. One, even though the sun's out today, my kitchen is very dark. Now this chuck roast come in 2 pieces. It was already cut. And I want y'all to know that this chuck roast came from the food pantry. I'm going to wash my hands. Yes, we had a really great service today at church. You know, it talked about forgiveness, forgiving those that may have done you wrong, or holding grudges. It's a really good service this morning. But as you can see, I'm going to sear both sides of this roast. And what this does, it helps lock in the juice in the chuck roast. Helps to maintain tenderness of the meat. And it also just gives you a good flavor when you add your beef broth. And it helps kind of thicken up that sauce some. So now you don't want to cook it very long. You just want the I just flipped it, y'all. This is going to be a good tender roast. Now, I know a lot of you have done your roast in crock pots, and so have I. But the only problem I have with that is it may take 8 hours to do your roast, and I've even seen those just take their carrots and their potatoes and their meat. They don't even sear it, and they just throw it all in the crock pot. But my experience with that is that the potatoes and carrots get done far quicker than the meat. And then the next thing you know, you got mushy potatoes and mushy carrots. And you're cooking all of the vitamins, the nutrition out of them carrots. So I like to do it this way. And as soon as this side gets done, I'll sort of just flip them over on the side and kind of brown that. Then I'm going to put 2 cans of beef broth. Now I usually use the carton, but let me tell you, my convenience store here in Trafalgar, which is the dollar store market, they were out of the chicken broth, the beef broth in the carton. So I had to get the cans, and that's okay. So when this meat gets done, like I said, I'm going to put the beef broth in there, and then I'm going to put my lid on it. And this is probably going to cook, I would say, 2.5 to 3 hours, and that meat will be done. Then I will add my potatoes and carrots, and we're going to have a good dinner tonight. So when this is done, I'll bring you back. Okay, so the meat is done. Now I put this in at 1:30, and it is now 3:54. And I've took the chuck roast out, as you can see, and look how tender that is. Now this is what I'm saying, folks, that if you ever find you one of these old-fashioned ones, now I did find this at the Goodwill. Your dinner is done much quicker in one of these than letting this go in a crock pot. Now I understand crock pots are much easier, especially if you want to go out for the day or you're working and dinner's ready for you. But like I said earlier, if you put all this in a crock pot with your potatoes and your carrots, trust me, your potatoes are going to get done a lot sooner than the meat. So now I've cut up some potatoes, and I'm just going to lay them in this broth. I like to take my meat out and then put my vegetables in. And I like to cook once and possibly eat maybe 3 times. Now I'm using a bag of baby carrots, and all of this food, people, came from the food pantry. The carrots, the potatoes, the meat, and that is it's 1 pound of baby carrots, and I'm going to use the whole bag because, like I said, we are going to eat on this evening. We'll eat on it tomorrow. And depending on how much of a big eater you are, we'll probably eat on this 3 times. So, I made some cornbread. And let me show you, there it is. This also come from the food pantry. And that's Famous Dave's original recipe. Now, first time I've ever used Famous Dave's. I've always used Jif cornbread mix because I love that stuff. And this is almost the ingredients. It's an 8x8-inch pan. You will bake it at 400 Fahrenheit to 23 to 26 minutes, depending on your oven. Now, my oven runs a little hot. So what I did, I preheated my oven to 400, and then I turned the oven down to 375 because I use an iron skillet, and they are much hotter than like your aluminum pans. And you put 1/3 cup of milk, 1/3 cup of water, and 1 egg. The only difference with this versus the Jif cornbread is the Jif you don't add the water, but everything else is the same. So we'll be trying that. So I've got my carrots in and my potatoes. I'm going to bring you over to the counter and we're going to check this meat out. Also want to bring it to your attention. If you watched the beginning of this video, I used 2 cans of beef broth. And the only thing I did in between the time it was cooking, I would always check my liquid in my cooker here. And I added 1 glass of water to the liquid. That's all I did. And look how much liquid I got. So, and another thing, this chuck roast, it did put out a lot of fat. So it was a little on the greasy side, but it sure does look good. Okay, back over to we're going to the counter. For sure, this time. So I have you over here at the counter. Like I said, look, I think it's got a lot of fat on this meat. And I'm going to just cut some of that fat off because my grandson, he's a picky eater. The oldest one. He's the one that just turned 18. And if there's any fat on meat, I don't know, he will not eat that meat. So I try to cut it off. See what I'm doing here? Slicing that fat off. And that meat is so tender. Look at that. Look. So when the potatoes and the carrots get done, I'm going to add the meat back into the pot to one side to warm it up. Looky here. This is what I'm saying. Look at all that fat. Not sure why this has so much fat on it. I guess a low grade of meat. I don't know, but anyway. It sure does smell good. See how that's good. Here we go. Here's another piece. You could see the fat. It's so greasy in there. Look at that. So, it's a greasy piece of meat. Still gonna be good. But I gotta get this fat off of here. my grandson won't eat it. And you know, if there's anything left over, I will be making some soup out of this. Okay, so I will finish getting the fat off of this, and when it's all done, we'll plate it up. Okay, our pot roast is finished. Now, it was 2 hours and 10 minutes. I had put this on at 1:30, and it is now 4:41 p.m., so 2 hours and 15 minutes, let's say. And I want you to look how rich that gravy is. And the only thing I did was use the broth, the beef broth, and I seared the meat. I floured it. I coated it real well with just all-purpose flour, salt and pepper, and I did added some minced onion, and it's ready. So let me plate this up. It cools down here in about 10 minutes. But oh my goodness, I wish y'all could smell this. Like I said earlier, I made Famous Dave cornbread, and look how shiny that is, and I did not even put any butter on top of that. So, and I already had a piece, and it's really good. It's sweet. But yeah, it's really good, but I still like my Jif cornbread. Okay, so I have this plated up. Look at that, yummy, yummy. The meat is very good and tender. The potatoes and the carrots, I just put some pepper on it and some little bit of parsley flakes. And there's the cornbread, Famous Dave's. All of this I was blessed with the food pantry. So, and the meat is good and tender. Look at that. Look at that. Just falls apart. No cutting that. And I could shred that up if there's any left and make some beef sandwiches or beef Manhattan. Why don't you look at that? We're going to give it a taste. Because I am starved. I am hungry. We had our church, when you go to Sunday services, they have donuts and coffee of your liking. They have different flavor of creamer. So, I had 2 donuts this morning, and of course you can contribute to the kitchen, and I always give $5 for the donuts and coffee. That was the potatoes, y'all. Very tender, very delicious. What can I say? This is right down home cooking. Nothing fancy. I don't use a lot of spices in my food, salt, pepper, and usually the beef broth gives it flavor. And when you sear your meat with your flour, and it seals all that moisture in there, and you get a lot of good flavor and a lot of good gravy. So like I said, I tried the cornbread, couldn't resist it. It's very good. But I still like Jif cornbread mix. And nothing's better than homemade cornbread. So, when I was fixing this dinner, my grandson asked me where the flour was when I was putting this cornbread mix in a bowl. And I said, well, this has already got it already in it. But I said, keep in mind, if you don't have this on hand, if you have flour and cornmeal, eggs and milk, you got cornbread. And I said, and then add sugar to it, because I know he likes sweet cornbread, so do I. So, that's what I have for y'all today, and here's the carrot. And they're sweet. And that's what I have for y'all. Good, good, good. I got some little bitty applesauce cups that also come from the food pantry. And we'll be having some applesauce with this as well. So, as always, thank each and every one for stopping in and leaving me your thumbs up and your comments and subscribing or whatever, you know, whatever you want to do. It's okay with me. But I will tell you, I love your comments. That gives me encouragement to keep making these videos. That's what I have for you today. May y'all have a blessed and wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God loves you.